This one pizza shop I worked at had a very large delivery range. Now, you usually see in like a city, it might be restricted to a number of blocks. When you get further out, it might be 2 or 5 miles or something like that. It's very rare that you see one that's 10 miles, which is what ours was. And that's because we were in a very rural place, and that's just the only way you were going to get enough customers was by having a large enough delivery range that you could reach enough people to sustain your business. But there was this one area in the delivery range that was harder to access than any others. It was actually a fairly suburban area. It was part of a small city that was a little bit over from where the shop was based. But because of where the shop was and because of where this place was, the only really fast way to get there was actually to go up into Ohio, cut through some back roads, and then drop back down into it. And when you did it that way, it actually took like 20, 25 minutes to get there. So going there is a bit of a hassle, which you can work it out. Like if it's slow and that's the only delivery that's going to be up anyway, then fine. You know, you lose a little bit more money in gas than you normally would, but it's okay if they tip decently. And there's a delivery charge that we get, so it was passable. Or if you were a fast driver and there happened to be other deliveries that you could take in that direction, then fine. It was just one of those things where you didn't lose out too much. But those were very specific circumstances that you couldn't guarantee were going to happen. And so sometimes going there was a problem. It was a real hassle that locked you up for a large period of time, made you lose some deliveries, and was really very rarely worth the amount of money that you would spend getting there in terms of money that you would get back. One day I went there and it was from this address. I had this address to go to. I go and I'm looking around, and at this address there wasn't anything there. There was no building at that where that address would be. There was like a row of houses and then a gap where you would expect like two or three different addresses to exist where nothing was there. And then there was a business that was closed at the time. It wasn't, I don't think it was even in business. It was just a building that was supposed to house a business, but it didn't currently have one in it. And so I could not find this. I looked around, I checked, I tried the phone number, didn't go anywhere. I realized this is probably not looking great. And so having ruled out every other option, I basically determined that it was almost certainly a prank. But this is really bothersome for me. Like driving all this way for a prank cost me a lot of money. Now there happened to be a couple kids on a porch nearby, and they were sitting there like trading cards. They weren't really paying attention to me. They were just, had been out playing and were sitting there. And so I went over to them. I walked past a couple houses, went over to them. I said, "Hey, do you know anything about this address?" And they're like, "Well, wouldn't it be like right over there? Like, I don't know exactly what that building's address is, but wouldn't it be that one?" I was like, "No, it's not that one. That's a different address." I couldn't find this. I'm beginning to think it might be a prank. And the one kid on the porch goes, "Oh, it's probably Tommy." I don't think his name was actually Tommy. I'm just picking a name for the sake of it. He goes, "Oh, it's probably Tommy." So what makes you think it was Tommy? He goes, "Listen, this kid, he went ahead and he'd been prank calling pizza shops and ordering these deliveries. He had one come to my house and I got grounded because my parents thought I did it. And I've been pissed at him ever since." I said, "Do you think that's what's happening here?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, tell you what. I have an offer for you." Him and the other kid on the porch, they're just like, what's the offer? I said, "I have this large cheese and pepperoni pizza here that if I take it back to the shop, I'm just going to throw it away. It's just a waste of money for me. I will give it to you for free on two conditions." He says, "What are the conditions?" I said, "Condition number one, you never tell me anything more about this. I don't want to hear anything more about Tommy. I don't want to know who you are. I don't want any more information at all." He goes, "Okay." I said, "Condition number two, I never get another prank call to this neighborhood." And he goes, "Yeah, I think I can make that happen." I said, "Thank you very much." Gave him the pizza, left. We never got another prank call to that neighborhood.